You know, we go through our days seeing, touching, and feeling the world around us. But what if I told you that this visible world is just the tip of the iceberg? What if all around us, and even inside us, there's a bustling, hidden universe of life? Well, today, we're taking a journey into that invisible world.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. What would you see in a single drop of water or a tiny speck of dust? What would be crawling on your own hands? It would totally change how you see everything, right? Well, this isn't science fiction. It's a reality that was unlocked by a simple, yet totally revolutionary piece of tech. So, our journey starts with a pretty simple fact. Our own eyes have limits, and for almost all of human history, those limits kept an entire world of life completely hidden from us.
That's kind of wild to think about, isn't it? Entire civilizations rose and fell, empires were built, all while this whole other layer of reality, just packed with countless living creatures, existed right alongside them, completely unnoticed. It was a secret universe just waiting to be discovered.
And this was the key that finally unlocked that door. A simple piece of glass, thicker in the middle, thinner at the edges, shaped kind of like a lentil seed. Actually, fun fact, that's where the word lens comes from. And this simple little tool would lead to one of the biggest revelations in the history of science.
Okay, so who were the first people to actually peek through this new keyhole into the unknown? Let's meet the pioneers who first started mapping out this invisible territory. So, back in the 1660s, a couple of key players show up on the scene. Over in England, you had a guy named Robert Hooke, who was using his microscope to make these absolutely stunning, detailed drawings of the miniature world. And at the same time, in the Netherlands, Antony van Leeuwenhoek was building lenses so powerful he could see things that literally no one had ever seen before.
And right here, you can see that perfect connection between the tool and the discovery. On the left, that's one of Robert Hooke's early microscopes. And on the right, that's what he saw when he aimed it at a super thin slice of something really boring, cork. He wasn't looking for the meaning of life or anything, he was just curious.
Hooke described seeing all these tiny, empty boxes that reminded him of a honeycomb or maybe the small rooms monks lived in at a monastery. So he called them cells. And just like that, with one simple observation, he gave a name to the fundamental building block of all life. So Hooke found these rooms, right? But it would take science centuries to figure out what was actually inside them and what they did. So let's cover the basics. What exactly is a cell?
This is honestly the best way to think about it. You can't build a house with just one brick, right? But you put millions of them together in an organized way, and you get a house. It's the same for us. Cells group together to make tissues. Tissues make organs, like your heart or your lungs, and all those organs work together to make a whole organism, like you.
And what's so cool is that you can actually see these building blocks yourself with a pretty basic microscope. If you just take a super thin peel from an onion and add a drop of stain, you can see that neat, orderly brick-like structure that Hooke first spotted almost 400 years ago.
Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. If you were to look at an onion cell, and then, say, a cell from the inside of your own cheek, you'd spot some pretty big differences right away. Plant cells, they have this rigid outer wall that gives them a more fixed rectangular shape, like those bricks we were talking about. Animal cells? Much more flexible, with all kinds of irregular shapes. And you can really see the difference here. Check out the plant cell on the right. See that thick outer wall? That's for structure. It also has a big central vacuole, which is kind of like a water storage tank. And those little green things? Those are chloroplasts. They're basically tiny solar panels that power photosynthesis. The animal cell on the left, it's missing all three of those things. And hey, just to give you a sense of scale, because not all cells are microscopic, you know? Get this. Every single time you crack an egg, you're looking at one single cell. And the biggest one of all is the yolk of an ostrich egg. It's a cell you can actually hold in your hand. All right, so up till now we've been talking about cells as these tiny parts that make up bigger things. But what if the entire living thing is just one single cell? Well, that takes us to a whole other level of the invisible world.
And that's where we meet the microorganisms, or as you probably know them, microbes. The definition is super simple. If you need a microscope to see it, it's a microbe. These guys are the true masters of the miniature world. And we're not just talking about one kind of critter here. No way. The microbial world is unbelievably diverse. You've got bacteria, fungi, like the yeast we use for bread, protozoa, like the squishy, shape-shifting amoeba, and even microscopic algae. It's an entire kingdom of life hiding in plain sight. And when I say they're everywhere, I mean everywhere. From boiling hot springs to the frozen Arctic, from the soil under your feet to the gut inside your body. In fact, get this, the cells of microorganisms in and on your body probably outnumber your own human cells. They've conquered every single corner of our planet. And us. Now, I know what you might be thinking. When you hear bacteria or microbes, your mind probably jumps to germs, disease, sickness, right? And yeah, some of them are harmful. But the truth is, the vast majority are not only harmless, they're absolutely essential to life on Earth. They are our tiny, powerful allies. Okay, so what are all these trillions of tiny things actually doing for us? Well, let's take a quick look at just a few of the critical jobs that our planet's invisible workforce takes care of. First off, they're the planet's ultimate cleanup crew. I mean, really think about it. Every leaf that falls, every animal that dies, what happens to it all? Microbes are master recyclers. They decompose all that stuff, breaking it down into simple nutrients that go right back into the soil to fuel new life. Without them, we would literally be buried in our own waste. They're also expert chefs working right in our kitchens. That fluffy bread, that tangy yogurt, sharp cheese, yep, all brought to you by microbes. The yeast you see here, which is a type of microscopic fungus, it eats the sugar and bread dough and basically just burps out these tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide gas. And those millions of tiny bubbles are what get trapped and make the bread so light and airy. And they're total game changers for agriculture. Plants need nitrogen to grow, but they can't just grab it out of the air. That's where certain bacteria that live in plant roots come in. They act like tiny fertilizer factories, pulling nitrogen out of the atmosphere and fixing it into a form the plants can actually use. They are literally feeding the base of our entire food chain. So when you think about it, from the air we breathe to the food we eat, so much of it depends on this invisible world. They aren't just tiny little curiosities, they are the engines that run our entire planet. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible secrets are they still hiding, just waiting for us to look a little closer?